Hello, everyone. Welcome back to season four. As a lot of you may or may not know, the way that I transform the podcast is creating seasons because I honestly, your boy just has a lot that he wants to do. And so doing it in seasons allow me to do everything without feeling like I'm leaving y'all or I'm not dropping any new podcasts. I that's why I decided to do seasons. So I decided to start 2021 with season four and hit y'all with the bang bang. I came with the heavy hitters. I promise you all season long. I'm going to give y'all the content y'all have always been asking me for, but I've been afraid to deliver. So on today's episode, we have none other. I can call you world renowned, can't I? Because you've
I guess.
around the world,
In a way, yeah.
the world renowned model Kelvin Davis. So what I want to start with is tell the people about yourself, like introduce yourself. Like you're a popular face, but I don't think people know you. They just know the face that they see in campaigns. They know your face when they see you doing, your fun, quirky dance moves on Instagram. But I don't think they know you because I've been following you since you were an art teacher.
Yeah, strong.
Oh, real strong.
Very, very strong.
I want the people to know a little bit about you, where you come from, what was life like growing up, all of that. Good.
Good, bad, and ugly. I got it all, man. So I'm Kelvin Davis. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. Um, and I was born and raised here. I went to the University of South Carolina, studied art education, graduated from there in 2011. Started teaching art in middle school. I taught art for about close to 7 years. And while I was teaching art, actually, I started my blog whenever I went to go get new clothing, and I was body shamed publicly by a sales associate. She told me that I was too big to shop in the store. So like it made me feel some kind of way, and I felt like I needed to make a platform or like a blog for all men of all shapes and sizes to really feel confident in themselves. And I honestly did it for my own like mental health and my own creative avenue. I never really expected it to become like a job or like a career or like a thing that I would do to earn money and to like make a living for myself. So it's kind of cool that my passion turned into a career. I'm really blessed and really thankful that a lot of people see the importance in it and see like everything that I do is like genuine and 100% authentic, and it really means a lot to me. I am a husband and father. I have two daughters. One's 9, about to be 10. She'll actually be 10 in 12 days.
Look at
She'll be 10 years old. I will have a 10-year-old, double digits. That's crazy. And then I have a 5-year-old who will be 6 in March. So, as young as I look, I mean, I'm only 33, but my daughter's about to be 10. That's crazy.
right. Listen,
Like, she's going to be 10. Like, she'll be 13 in middle school soon. Like, it's crazy.
and to think, right? It's interesting when you're able to follow someone's career from that age. Like I remember when your daughter drew you
Oh,
as
yeah.
because she thought
Yeah.
every time you were going to modeling that you were going to save the world. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she's 10. It's like mind
Crazy.
way blown. Yes, man.
Yeah.
So speaking of kids, so I wanted to ask you a question. So recently, well, not recently, maybe a year or so ago, you did an ad campaign with your daughters. And so
Yes.
I wanted to know, first of all, how did that idea come about? Um, how did that idea come about? Because I mean, it's not every day you see a model modeling with their actual kids. Like models
Yeah.
model with children, but not their
Yeah.
own children. So like, how did that advertisement opportunity come about for you to actually be in a real life campaign with your actual daughters?
Yeah, so it was for Vineyard Vines, and I've been working with them since, I mean, for about I would say almost like 6 years now. Like we've been working together for a while.
Oh
And
wow. Who knew?
yeah, yeah. So it was like really awesome when they pre- presented this opportunity and they were like, we would love to actually have your real kids instead of having like, kids that you may not know or like just like, casting normal like regular kids that they normally do for normal advertisements. Like I have like these Target kids that I model with for like Target, but they're usually the same kids. So I kind of built like a little bit of a relationship with them, but they're still not my own kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't raise them. So when the opportunity came about, I was like, oh yeah, like my oldest daughter has always wanted to be a part of it. Like she's always wanted to model. She's always
Oh,
been really interested into like the things that I do. She kind of like faces like she's kind of like a mirror image of me when it comes to my career. Like she wants to do kind of some of the same things. And my other daughter Flo is just like really interested in like creativity and she loves getting dressed up and stuff. So I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. We can travel. We get to like go to this awesome place. And we shot it like right next door to Taylor Swift's house, which was really cool too. So like Taylor Swift lives in Watch Hill Road, Rhode Island. And like there's this like humongous hotel on the beach that's like right next to her house. Like
got it.
literally within like
Oh,
5 steps.
so that's Rhode Island. That's where you shot that campaign.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was gonna be my next question. Where was that shot?
Yeah, it was so cool because like we got up early in the morning, and we left my house probably around like 6 in the morning. We got on the plane around like 7:38, and we got to Rhode Island. I would say maybe around like 10ish, and yeah, we went straight there. And the girls were just ecstatic, and they like they treated the like girls better than anybody's ever treated me. Like as models, like you always get like a good treatment. Like they'll get all the snacks you want, everything you want. Like they always try to make sure you're comfortable. But with my daughters, it was like a whole extra level
Level.
of like care, and they were just like loved it, like being pampered, being like wanting
Oh,
all the
did they have
candy.
like? Did they get like little mani petties and stuff?
Yeah, all of it, makeup, everything, hair did, all of it. They were loving it,
Well,
man.
how so? When did the girls get a chance to see the work that they were doing? Like when was the first time? Well, you and the girls. When was the first time
Yeah.
guys saw the photos in campaign? Like when did that come
So
to
I
fruition?
saw it. I can't remember the actual date, but it was a Christmas ad. So it came out around November-ish, like around where a lot of those holiday ads come about. It
Uh-huh.
came around then. And actually, my my oldest daughter's teacher, she got the email like in her email because she like follows Vineyard Vines for like their
Uh-huh.
prices and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
she got the email and noticed my daughter. So my oldest daughter, whenever she came in the class on the smart board, she had like the giant picture of like me, her, and like she was so embarrassed. She was like, "Oh my god, Dad!" Like they had the picture up and da da da. Everybody kept asking me like, "How did you do it?" Like you're famous now and this and that. Like people kept asking for her autograph at school.
Shut
So
up!
yeah,
Oh, you see, like imagine how that changed her life.
I
Like,
know, right?
like I think about positive things like that all the time. Like imagine how that one ad probably is going to make her possibly grow up without having a lot of the insecurities that a lot of us grew up with because
Of
she's
course.
already getting to see herself in a positive light. And
Yeah,
I can only imagine what that's doing for her psyche. Does she want to do it again, or is it like
she
that?
does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she loves it. Like, well, actually, I actually did a sponsorship with Amazon and then UGG, and they wanted the girls to be a part of it. So Temperance did a shoot with me for Amazon, and then we did a shoot together for UGG,
Okay.
and they
Oh,
like loved it. Like,
they are full on in. They ready to go. They like,
yeah, they're
dad,
ready to go. Now,
dad.
Flo, the youngest one, I had to do a little bit of convincing. Like, I'd be like, we could get ice cream afterwards or whatever. But my oldest one, she's like, whatever. Like, let's go. Let's take photos. I'm getting my hair. Like, she does her hair. She makes sure her face is straight. She does everything. Like, she's ready to go. She's all about it.
Oh, okay. You ain't gotta tell her
Yeah,
nothing. You just gotta tell her the date, and she's ready.
exactly. and she ready to go. She's like, so when are we going to go take pictures, Dad? Like, are we gonna do it here? And she even has her own ideas of like some of the places she wants to shoot. Like she's like, maybe we could shoot it like a white background or maybe like a pink one or this and that. Like she does her own
You
like
got you a little CD over there in your hands.
yes, little creative director, temperance.
Right. It's what it sounds like. Okay, that is really cool. Okay, so I want to dive into the question that I get asked. It's getting to the point where the question is now like when I first started the website, when I first started XL Tribe, it was a graduating process. Like every other day, you would get asked by a guy, "How do you become a model? How do you become a model? How do you become a model?"
For sure.
And then it started growing to the point where I decided, you know what, let me make a video so that every time someone says, how do you become a podcast? I just send you the link. I mean, how do you not podcast? How do you become a big and tall model? I just send you the link to the video because it was getting asked that many times. Well, now it's moved on to like multiple times per day, every day. So my whole goal of season 4 was talking to actual models that this is their livelihood, because I feel like you'll have more insight than I do. I'm just the person that writes about it. When Vineyard Vine sends me an email and say, hey, we have someone, we have this new campaign coming out, and all I do is write about it. But you're the one that actually goes through the work of creating the ad and being in it and taking the photos. By the way, before we even dive into that, let's stomp a misconception right now. People think influencing is easy.
I would hell no. That's just, bro. People don't even know. People literally have no clue how difficult influence is, because as a influencer, you're not only the model, you're the creative director, you're the stylist, you're the everything. Like you're literally everything that they have on set. You're that one person.
And people don't know that. That's the difference from being a model to an influencer. A model, you show up, you wear the clothes they tell you to wear, and you look good.
Exactly.
Which that's hard work too. But being an influencer, you're at the point where you can probably afford a photographer. But let's go way back before you even get to the point where you can afford a photographer. So you have to take your own photos, style yourself, make sure you look good in the photos, pose correctly. Edit them, and not judge yourself too critically, because you don't sit there with 300 photos and come out with one because you're harshly judging yourself.
Yes, exactly. Like people have no clue. And there's some people that don't understand that like just because you're an influencer doesn't mean you could be a model. Just because you're a model doesn't mean you could be an influencer. There's very few people like myself that are blessed with the opportunity that you can do both, because you really have the opportunity. Because if you start off as one, so if you start off as a model, it's kind of hard to transition to a influencer. If you start off as an influencer, it's more easier to transition to a model, because you already know how to be in front of the camera, you know how to smile, you know your poses, you know what works for you and what doesn't. So it's really easier for you to like do it for somebody else, because you've already done it for yourself,
right? And you learn how to do it very, very well after.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny, even to this day, every time I'm also going to try to break out of this in 2021, but every time I step in front of the camera, it's like someone does this to my brain, and like all of my energy just comes out. As soon as I see the camera, I'm like, I don't know.
Some people, it's like somebody just unplugged you, right?
Yes, and I don't know where that comes from, but I really want to. That's my personal goal for this year. I want to figure out how to come alive in front of the camera, because I'm a lively person. I'm live all the time. So
you are.
It's really shocking to be live all the time, and then as soon as the camera comes, you're like, you just get deactivated. I don't know what it is, but I really want to work on that this year. So I would like to know from you, I've been watching you for a very long time. I see the transition. Number one, your smile has gotten bigger. Yeah, it has. It's gotten bigger.
Yeah.
So there had to be some level of work there. So what kind of self work have you been doing over the years that has gotten you to the place where I feel like you crowned yourself, but it's a rightful crown. So you like that's your thing. Like best smile of Instagram is your thing. And
Yeah.
so I want to know, how did you get to the place where you felt confident enough to call yourself the best smile of Instagram?
Okay, so it started off, I would say, like when I first started my blog and Instagram, I would take serious looking photos. Like I wouldn't smile at all, and I would like give like almost like this pensive look. And I was always smiling in real life. And I remember my wife was taking photos of me at the time, and she was like, you should smile. I was like, you think? She was like, yeah. So I smiled for a few of the photos. This was probably in 2015 or maybe late 2014, early 2015.
Hold, your wife's your photographer?
Yeah. I taught her how to use the camera. Yeah. She's good, right?
Isn't that a dream to have a photography bay?
Yeah, right? she didn't ask for it, but she got drug into it. But
oh, you know what? It's okay. Cause do you know there's a page on Instagram called Boyfriends of Instagram?
Yes, and it's hilarious.
So they need to start a wife of Instagram, because I didn't know that she was your photographer. So now this adds a whole nother layer, because I was going to ask, how do you juggle? But continue with that and then we'll get to juggling.
Of course, yeah. So I smiled and then I looked at the photos and it was kind of like a soft smile. And I was like, hey, I got a pretty nice smile. And I remember back in the day I had like an ex-girlfriend in like high school who told me that I shouldn't smile because she was like, I don't like it when you smile. Your eyes are squinty and it makes your nose look big. I was like, what? Really? So that kind of like made me a little insecure. So I never really smiled big because of that, like of that
in the back of your mind,
that conversation with her. But then, I mean, as years got on, the bigger my smile got, and it was about 2018, maybe 2019, where I would get so many compliments on my smile. Like so many people would be like, "Oh my God, your smile is so like enlightening and this and that." And it was like people would just comment me on my smile a lot, and I'd be like, you know what? I do have a nice smile, strong. So I was like, you know what? Hashtag best smile on Instagram, and it just became a thing. And actually, last year was in February 14th was the last time I was on a plane last year. This was like right before COVID shut down everything in March. So February 14th, I flew from San Diego to New York to go do this ad with Instagram at their headquarters in New York. So I was like dressed for San Diego, had no jackets, had nothing, because my agent like emailed me and was like, look, I know you're in San Diego, but there's an opportunity that came via Instagram. They want you to go to New York tomorrow. Are you available? So I was supposed to fly from San Diego to Colombia, like to go home on the 14th. But instead I went from San Diego to New York in the middle of the winter, had no jacket, nothing. Because I was in San Diego. I was like wearing shorts. I was like, I was chilling. It was
it out.
Yeah, like it was fairly warm. So I get to New York and I only had one pair of jeans and like this thin, like little like jean jacket. So I'm like waiting for my Uber, freezing at the airport. I get there and I do the shoot with Instagram on the next day. And I asked one of the employees in Instagram, she's like she was like a part of the campaign. She's like one of the public relations people
Uh-huh.
for them. And I just asked, I was like, there's a lot of debate about who has the best smile on Instagram. You know what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying? Like there's people that are like, I have it, you know what I'm saying? But I claim it, I've always
Right.
claimed it. So I asked the employees of Instagram in front of me, and they verified that
That
I
you
do
have
have
the
the best
best smile,
smile on Instagram. Okay. So I like legitly took a picture at the Instagram headquarters and said, Instagram verified today for any doubters that I do have the best smile on Instagram.
That's right.
Strongly.
That's
So ever since then, I just really have, been very smiley in my photos because naturally I smile a lot when I'm in real life. So it just made sense for me to like exude that because I felt like whenever I first started my actual blog in 2000 and like late 2012, I felt like I was trying to like fit some facade of like some male blogger that I saw on like Pinterest or something. Do you know what I mean? I was trying
yeah.
to be all like serious, like,
Like,
and it wasn't me. Like it just wasn't working. I was like, I need to find what works for me, and that's what works.
okay. That's some good advice. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. What I'm gonna
Yeah.
find what works for me. Because that's really where my struggle is in doing it. It's like I get in front of the camera and I'm not sure like how to exude myself. So I'm gonna work on that. So I'm gonna take your advice for myself, listener. I want you to do the same, but I'm
Yeah.
taking that because I really want to focus on that. So back in the day, people may not know before you were Kelvin Davis, you were notoriously dapper. That was your name. So where did that name come from? I always wanted to know.
Ah, that's a good one too. So I actually was laying in my bed at like the old cottage that me and my wife used to stay at. It was like this small 500 square foot cottage because we were very, very poor at the time. Like we had just graduated from college, was just like trying to figure out life.
Oh, look at
Our daughter at the time was 2. We were just, trying to get on our feet somewhat in life. And I remember, after that bad shopping experience, wanting to start a blog and wanting to really dive into that creative avenue. And I
uh,
remember thinking, I need to come up with a name that not only resonates with me, but resonates with everyone. You know what I mean? Like not something that identifies with people of like one body type or one race or one genre. I wanted to do it for everybody, even though the whole blog itself was going to be meant for, men of size or men that suffer from body insecurities.
uh,
So I came up with the name. It was no Torsey Stylish, I think was the first one. And then
okay,
the other one was like Dapperly Stylish, I
okay,
think. And my wife basically was like, I don't like either one of those. And then we talked about it, and then we both decided on no Torsey Dapper. So we just combined
the two different.
Torsey from the no Torsey Stylish, and then Dapperly Stylish from that. It just created no Torsey Dapper.
Okay, because I always
Right.
wanted to know where that name came from. So somewhere along the line, I don't remember what year that was, but you changed.
All right. Sorry. All right. Go.
That's
Go.
fine. Somewhere
Oh,
along
sorry.
the line, you changed from Notoriously Dapper to Kelvin Davis. So
Yeah.
what prompted the switch in your brand to move from that?
I feel I felt like a lot of people knew me as that, and I felt like whenever my book came out and I named the title of my book after my blog, I felt like it was time for me to use that name for the blog and for the Instagram and not really own it as me as like an actual person
Uh-huh.
because I was like after I wrote the actual book, I was like the name isn't really about Kelvin Davis.
Right.
The name is about like being a gentleman, and the name is about how to have body confidence and how to do the right things in life. that's what the term is about now. It's no longer about like the imagery of me, if that makes sense.
Yes, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, because I also had the same. Well, I didn't have no day to talk it over with, but I also had that same talk with myself when I was
Yeah,
with my brand, and that's why I didn't call it my name. I came up with XL Tribe because I wanted it to be something that encompassed the XL experience, and I wanted to know like how to put that together. And so after, oh my God, I spent like 6 months going through names uh,
yeah,
before I landed on XL Tribe because I just really wanted it to be a name that would resonate and not just for that moment, but like years to come. Like many people don't know this is like my fourth business. And like in those other businesses, I definitely learned like you you definitely want to create something you're gonna love for years to come.
of course.
Because what kept happening was I would have a name, and then 2 months in, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna change the name. And that would change the name of a brand, and then it wouldn't be consistent anymore. And
Yeah,
here's hints to why I was never successful in those businesses, and here we are now. So
exactly.
so now you're Kelvin Davis. So what another question that I had that's been like in my brain, like all these questions I've been thinking about them for a while, but never had the platform to ask you. Well,
Yeah,
the place to ask. So fatherhood is something that you take with the utmost pride, and I absolutely love it. If no one tells you, like I
thank
feel
you.
like from the outside, you are doing an amazing job being a really good, responsible, attentive, present father. Even though
Thank
you're
you.
juggling so many other things, I don't know how
Yeah.
you do it, but you do it. But that actually is going to be my first question. I didn't realize that I just asked it to you. How do
Yeah.
you juggle being an influencer, being a model, because you do both,
Uh-huh.
and being a father,
Yeah.
and being a husband?
Yeah. You know, it got a lot harder whenever COVID hit because, the virtual school thing, like staying at the house and, helping my girls with their virtual school on top of like, doing interviews or like getting back to my agency and trying to really elevate my own personal career goals. And, traveling was always up in the air during that time, so it was a lot really during COVID, and still during COVID, obviously, because we're still in the state, right? So it's a lot to actually deal with. But I would say prior to COVID, I had a lot more time during the actual day because my girls were gone to school from like 8 to like 2:30 in the day. So there was like an hour of windows. So there was hours of windows where I could do interviews, I could schedule my meetings, I could answer my emails, and then whenever it was time for me to pick them up, it was kind of like work stopped, and if I had to do something that was urgent, I would try to make time for it. But it was like whenever three or 3:30 hit, it was like off work. It's time to be a dad, time to be a husband, this and that. So it was a lot easier pre-COVID. But now that we're here, and it's kind of like you mix everything with being fatherhood, being a husband, everything, being at the house together, it's very difficult to like find that right schedule. So every day I feel like my schedule changes.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
And it's like difficult because it's like some days I'm like, I'll like answer an email or two and then I'm done for the day. The other days I'm like, have to answer emails all day. I got like, meetings. I have to schedule this, schedule that, have to create content, have to edit stuff, this and that, have to log my daughter on for Zoom for her writing class, and do this, da 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 da, So it's like I got to make them lunch. I got to make sure they go outside to get some kind of activity, you know. So it's yeah. I mean, COVID has fucked up everything.
so you have become you have wait, hold on, wait. COVID really did fuck shit up because
Yeah, it did.
you had the what you just described to me. You became an art teacher again. You became a science teacher, a math teacher, a PE teacher,
All
and
over.
and you still have your other responsibilities along with the new 5 teachers you just became. So
Exactly.
never have I thought about that because I don't have kids, but My God, that's a lot on one human being's plate. Okay.
It is, man. It's
Oh, I'm
like,
sorry. I'm sorry. And you're the lunch man because you make.
yes,
So you have 6 new jobs.
yes.
Listen, my hat to you. Um,
Yeah,
I hope that when you put the kids to bed, you can at least get you one glass of vodka in because that sounds like
yeah, I
a
do.
a
I
lot.
do, man. I give me one drink in, or I try to just relax and close my eyes and just listen to some kind of music or something. You always have to have that depress like that like moment where you just decompress everything for like the whole day, right?
Yep.
My time is usually from like 9 p.m. to like 10 p.m. is when I like decompress. I'm like, woosah, you know? Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
like I would say for people that like are doing this, that have kids that are in COVID and work from home and are grinding, trying to make their dreams come true, but their kids are at the house doing all that, it's very difficult. And you just kind of have to, go with the flow of things for right now because everything is just unpredictable at this moment. I mean, there's so many people that are dying from COVID. I
right,
mean, we're just lucky to be alive, right? Like we're
right.
just lucky to be I mean, we're just lucky to be living, you know?
I think about that. I have thought about that, right? We are
Yeah.
lucky to still be here because there
Yeah.
are over 300,000 people that are not here today.
Yeah. And it's so sad. Like you just watch the news and you're like, there was 230 people dying a day in Los Angeles. Like, that's just crazy. Like, I mean, it's sad, and it could easily be anybody in this country.
Right,
Like we're worried about the grind, the hustle, this and that. And it's good for you to want to pursue all those things and do your thing and grind and elevate and do all those things. But at the end of the day, we just got to be thankful that we're all still here.
right.
Yeah.
So let's give thanks to the fact that we are still here. And if you are listening
Fact.
to the sound of our voices, you have made it to
Yeah.
2021. Because my God, 2020. I feel like very cautiously optimistic about 2021. I feel like
I do. Yeah.
hopefully this vaccine will work in really good ways and we don't have too many crazy side effects,
Yeah.
and people can begin to think, because after this we're going to have to find what normal looks like, because normal isn't going to be what we had it back
Yeah.
in 2019. So we're going to have to discover what normal is in this
Yeah.
new age. And so I really hope that 2021 is that year where we can begin to like figure out what's normal for us. Like, someone said to me the other day, like, I can't believe like 2019, I used to like hug people.
Exactly. And it's like now when you like go to events or like if you ever go to events again, just like we were at the like Kirby Fashionista thing, right? Like it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago.
So it's like if we ever do that again, are we going to be able to hug? Are we ever going to be able to high five? Are we ever going to be able to talk like face to face? Like, are we going to have to stand like all the way over here and be like, hey man, like how you been? Like you been good? Like, yeah, okay, air five, like elbow, It's gonna be weird, like,
Right.
It'll be
And
like
so what does
the
that look
new normal.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, so all of those things are, really things to think about. So question. So in your influencing, of course, like you're still working. I've still been seeing you work, but of course,
Yeah.
work looks a lot different now. So how have you been able to remain creative throughout, throughout COVID? Because I want to say it's been hard. If It's been hard, really, because like even myself have tried to figure out like how to pivot throughout this time. Because of course, like the brand, like my main source of income, I'm a photographer. That's my main source of income. So
Yeah.
when we sat in the house for 4 months, there was nothing I could do. So I'm trying to figure out how, like how to pivot the brand that doesn't like, like I what I was thinking to myself is like, okay, I don't want to do anything that's too departured from my brand because I mean, people started doing OF a lot. It,
Yeah.
and my thing is like,
Like
why can't,
OnlyFans, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
okay.
this. And,
Yeah.
and my thing is like, okay, I get it. People
Yeah.
make money and you are cut off from whatever your main source of income is. So you start doing this, but like XO Tribe can't do that. So like, what can I do?
Yeah.
So I've been a little, well, not anymore, but while we were in quarantine, I definitely was creatively struggling. Like, I mean, you should see my photos. They look like I didn't care. I was just,
Yeah.
I was trying anything. I was like, oh, maybe I'll shoot food content. No, I was like, maybe I'll get fresh flowers delivered every week and shoot. Nope, didn't want to be that. It's just I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit down and I'll just watch TV like everybody else did because I just couldn't figure out how to be creative. But you somehow figured a way. So what
Yeah.
did you do to pivot throughout that time to still remain creative and create good content? How'd you do that?
Well, I would have to definitely give thanks to my agency because they did a very good job of like getting me different collaborations that I've never really done, which caused me to think outside the box to create different kind of content. Because I was doing, I did like some liquor content.
I like that one.
Yeah, it was fun. And then I did like some other content for like Cracker Barrel cheese. I did like, so it was things that I normally don't do as far as fashion wise, but it was cool because I got to kind of like create like a whole like food scene, like a whole little like setup, and then take pictures with like the fashion element about it. So it was like really cool to kind of dive into like that um interior like decorator kind of mode where like you're
Yeah,
not decorating your clothing, but you're decorating like the set in a way.
right.
Yeah.
Wait, and you
That's
still have to decorate yourself because you can't, you can't be in, old beat up t-shirts and like
exactly.
and painted pants or whatever. So yeah,
Exactly.
so I I, I didn't think of it that way. You just became a different kind of
Content creator in a way, yeah.
a second
And which
kind of creator.
and which it helped out for me because it helped me be more creative mentally, and it helped, not only broaden that, but it broadened my actual content across my like Instagram. So whenever other brands would want to reach out to me, they would say, okay, he is capable of creating branded content for a deodorant brand or for like a coffee brand or this and that. So it doesn't just put me in like this box where I can only do clothing. You know what I mean?
So COVID removed the box of fashion and you just became a content creator, not a fashion content creator.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. So COVID helped somewhat in my career in that kind of creative space where like, and it was like the fact that I'm able to do both, like, because there's a lot of models obviously that don't know how to create content. There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of models that were out of work and couldn't, make money. It was very unfortunate and stuff. And, but it's like, it just, I guess, helps remind people that you always need another talent, like another set of income, because you never know when something else might come about. Like you always have to have what I call it is the Jamie Foxx sin syndrome, where like you have to be able to have multiple things. Like Jamie Foxx, if he never acted again, he could sing, he
All right.
can dance, like he could do all these other talents that he could be utilized for.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a great thing to be multi-talented in a lot of different things. Like I can write books, I can dance, I can create content, I can also like be like I can also help you create the content, I can give you direction, so I like to really market myself as that, like I can do it all.
That's what it sounds like. So,
Yeah.
okay. So I'd like to know because I want to get to the number one question. So,
Okay.
of course, you've been working, as a influencer for a while, but how did the process go from turning into an influencer to a model? Like, how did that happen for you in terms of like the business side? How, like, did you get approached? Did you approach someone? Like, how did that go down?
Okay, so it kind of happened. Um, I would have to say coincidentally, because I was, creating content, being an influencer, and my whole entire thing about being an content creator was being diverse or offering different photos or different poses, different outfits, so people could see that I can do a multifaceted of like different styles as far as fashion or like different poses and stuff, right? So I was going to London actually for the first time with um her mom. Do you know her? She's the bearded dame. Well,
Yes,
what's her name on
yes,
Instagram? Yeah.
yes, 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 yes.
Okay, so she's from London, and she teamed up with Lush in London because they're based out of London. She teamed up with them to to do this tour called Thy Love Love Thyself, I believe, or it was either Love Thyself or Love Thee Self. It was one of the two, but but it was like a tour that she did around the United Kingdom, and her first one in London. She reached out to me all the way from South Carolina, and she was like, I know you're in the U.S. Da 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 da, but we've been like internet friends for a while. We've been a part of your beauty standards, and I really want you to come talk at this panel of mine. I was like, okay, cool. Like, where is it? I don't think it's going to be like in California somewhere or like New York or whatever. She's like, it's in London during these dates. Can you come? I said, yeah. So she's like, okay. I was like, well, how much is the flight? Like, da da da. Because I thought I had to pay. Like I've never really been flown anywhere on somebody else's dime during this time, right? So she was like, no, Lush is going to take care of everything. I'm like, okay, word. So Bob, they like gave me the flight. They sent me. I went to London, and actually, the day before I went to London, the day before, I got an email from a company called Bridge Models, which is
Oh,
who I'm with now. So
yes,
Bridge is based out of London, right?
yep.
So the lady emails me the night before I'm supposed to go to London. It was almost like
A
it
line.
would. Yeah, it was almost like alignment. It was so weird. I was literally packing to get ready to go to London for the first time ever in my life to go do like this thing to like go speak. And she emailed me the night prior and was like, "Hey, my name is Catherine. I'm from Bridge Models, and we're based out of London, and we would love to meet you like via Zoom or whatever to talk about po- potentially being like a representation, right?" So I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I was like, well, I'll be in London tomorrow. She was like, really? I was like, yeah, I'll be in London tomorrow. I'm doing this speaking thing. And she was like, oh, wait. She was like, I'm going to that to actually go speak. So to like actually be
Whoa!
there to like hear me speak. So she was going there and being a part of the audience anyways. So I was like, wait, did she know I was gonna be in London? And she was
Right.
like,
It's like, did you know
like
what
she
day it is?
yeah, but like she acted like she had no clue. So I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So I went there, I spoke, I did my thing, and then I met with her. I had brunch with her the next day. She basically was like, we've been following you for a while now. We love your content, and we think it'd be great if you would be able to like represent, big and tall men or men of size and become one of our, first American male models to the Bridge family. And I gave it some thought. I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool and stuff. So I took it back to the states, and I got one of my lawyer friends to look over the contract. He was like, dude, it's a good contract. They're not doing anything sketchy. It's like perfect. Like if you want to do it, do it. So I emailed her back. I was still teaching at the time. So I emailed her back after I was done teaching. And I remember I was like typing the email, sending her the signed stuff. And I was like, this might be a life changer. Like I might actually be a model now. Like my dreams might come true. Like, I've always like idolized Tyson Beckford, all those guys. I was like, I actually might be a representation. Like, I might actually be a model. Like, this is crazy.
Right?
And she was like, I got it, this and that. And then like 2 weeks later, I was in New York shooting for Target, and the rest is history.
Like, wow.
It literally happened like that fast. Like, and I think it had a lot to do with everything that I built prior, because I had already had a book. I had already done a couple of campaigns that were just like based off of me. Like, I had no agency, I had nothing, right? So I think the actual it was actual admiration of me working so hard for myself that caught the attention of them. And they were like, if he's willing to do all this for himself, just imagine what he could do if he had a little bit of help.
Right? And
Yeah.
I wanted to pick out the jewel in there that you had. They said they've been watching you for a while. People
Yeah.
people love to think that because they're not seeing people come to them asking them for deals, that nothing's happening. But I'm
Yeah.
here. This story is another piece of confirmation, something that I've always known for a while because I've personally saw it happen. People are always watching you.
For sure.
Brands are
Always.
always watching you. Whether you know it
Always.
or not, they are watching you and they're
Yeah.
waiting for you to either come into your actualization or they're waiting for you to see how well you build yourself up. And that's why I like to tell people, like, don't try to get in the habit of not, if you got to do it for your own mental health, do it. But try to get in the habit of not pausing and stopping working. I know a lot of people say they're taking breaks, and I'm like, you you don't take breaks right now. Like
No.
you because every break you're taking is an opportunity to not be seen. And I feel like this is a perfect example of like you were consistently, first of all, I don't know how many people know this, but like I used to be an avid reader of Notorious to Dapper. So
Oh, really? Stop it.
no, I did. So
Oh.
part of my reason for starting this site was reading your website and seeing how, number one, how well you wrote, but how well you constantly talked about how your messaging was to uplift guys who felt insecure about how their body looked. And that's part of my journey of transitioning into XL Tribe. What Because at the time I called myself trying to be I used to sell cell phone accessories. That was my job. Well,
Yeah.
my business at the time, but I didn't like it. It wasn't like my passion or anything. And so I would just, read blogs all the time. Like I was an avid blog reader. So I read
Yeah.
a lot of people's blogs or website at the time. And so once I found your website, it was just me reading every article you would put out. Um, and thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna work on this because at the time I was also, I still am a big guy and still trying to figure out myself at the time. So like reading your thing. By the way, I don't know if anyone's told you this. You're like the number one Pinterest person. Like if you look up big and tall,
Really?
you're like the number one person that comes up on Pinterest on a regular.
Wow.
So I have a lot of repins of you.
Blessings. Strong.
So
Blessings.
strong to that.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to know was, so when you started working for Target,
Yeah.
what? Oh, maybe I can ask this question. Okay, so you started working for Target, right? And you're at this point, you're like, I don't even know how many seasons in because I literally see you on the Target campaign like every season. So What was the first moment like that happened in your modeling career that you're like, I made it? Like I really made it. What was that moment for you?
Man, I would have to say when I did that Gap ad. When I did that Gap ad, it was when I thought was really when I was like, fuck, I think I made it. Like I think this is it.
First of all,
Think, I think I made
listen,
it.
for you to show up, what was that, 14th Street?
Yeah.
For you to show up, for a big guy to show up, first of all, a big black guy to show up
Yeah.
on an ad on 14th Street. I don't know what you was feeling seeing yourself in person, but I was losing my shit over here.
Yeah, it was like it was one of those moments where whenever I shot the Gap ad, right, it was like I had to keep it a secret for so long, right? So I couldn't tell anybody. So I was like burning the fuel inside of me. I was like, I just want people to see this shit. Like it's gonna be so good, you know? So like when it came out, it was like the first time I saw it, I was like, holy shit. And what I loved about it most is that they didn't advertise me as me being their first plus size model that they use for like a guy. They just used me as like a body as like a body positive advocate. Like that's what like that's the term they use. Like and I like that more because I felt like when a lot of companies use, oh, it's our first plus size male model, they're trying to benefit off of that term. They're trying to benefit off of being a trend at the moment. Do you know what I mean? They're
Uh,
not really benefiting. They're not really doing it because it's right. They're not really doing it for the representation. They're doing it because they need a little bit more notoriety. They want to be a little more in
include.
inclusive. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not doing it because that's where their heart is truly at. Do you know what I mean? So it meant a lot for me whenever Gap introduced me as being a body positive advocate, and they didn't say this is our first plus size like male model, which I was the first plus size male model for Gap, or the first big and tall, whatever the term is. I was the first XL model for Gap, male model.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I was the first one, strong. But they never advertised that, and that's what I loved most about the campaign is that they advertised me as a body positive advocate because the whole campaign was about people doing good. So there was like, there was a Muslim activist, there was a feminist, there was a body positive activist, there was there were like a transgender activist, there was a gay rights activist, there was like all people that were all activists or all people that did something very positive other than providing their talents to the world. So it was an awesome campaign how they did it. Like they just got all these people together from different walks of life and they all did very positive shit and we all got together in dope ass clothing and shot the ad. So that was the moment where I was like, yeah, I made it. I made it. Y'all said I couldn't do it, but I did it. Oh, there it is. Strong. You know what I'm saying? Like they literally were like, yes. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the moment. Whenever I saw that, I was like, damn.
I
It
re-
almost brought, it actually did bring tears to my eyes. I cried a couple of times whenever I would see those ads in like different places because Gap is such a world renowned company.
Yep. And for
And
you,
my face was like in Korea to Ja- Japan to Dubai to Istanbul to it was crazy where people were like DMing me from other countries like other languages that I didn't even know, like telling me about my photo. I was like, I don't even know what he said. Like I'm going to Google it, but they were all positive things. They're all like we like love seeing this like imagery of like we've never seen this happen. Like this is beautiful, this and that. It was awesome.
I can imagine all of the people that saw that. And let's not forget, you were also in Times Square.
Yes, that was huge too. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I would never forget that. It was like one of those moments where I was like, wow, I think and it was one of those moments where like where you write down career goals, right? And you like think of things, you're like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to work with this brand, I want to work with this brand, I want to maybe do this. And it was like one of those things where when I did it, it was like, what's next? Like, what next do I want to do? You know, it was one of those things when I did, I was like, I think I've checked off just about everything.
Your box at this point, right? Because you've done so
Yeah.
much.
And my next thing that I really want to do is I want to like collaborate with like, you know, with like a Kohl's or like a Target, with like a company that, you know, has like large access to like a lot of clothing. And I want to do like a like big and tall only like line, like starting from size XL going all the way to 6X, you know, starting from waist like 36 going all the way up to like 58, you know, like only like the sizes start at XL. Like there's no large, starts at XL, it goes all the way up. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Because it's like, and what a lot of people don't realize that like whenever you go to places, like the only other sizes that are really left are like smalls and mediums, because all the larges, the extra larges, double XLs are gone, because that's the majority of the fucking sizes of the men in America. Like you know? So it's like whenever you go to like Gap, you'll see so many smalls and mediums. You're like, that the reason why y'all got 28 smalls and 15 mediums and no larges and no double XLs is because y'all didn't make as many as you did for the smalls. Or if you did, you sold just as much. Shit.
I agree 1000%. That's really the thing. And like it's interesting when you go to places and shop, when you go to stores that like where they cap off at extra large, or they might
Yeah.
happen to cap off at a 2X.
Yeah.
That's the size that's always gone.
Exactly. It's always gone. Like gone, gone. I mean, even online, if you go to like places like, I don't know, like those Zara's or all the places that people love to like shop, like the fast fashion places, they're always out of extra large and double XL. It's always gone. Bye. It's gone.
Yep.
You know?
Agree. Actually, I've never shopped at Zara, so I don't know what their sizing is like. So I might have to check.
I haven't. Well, I shopped there once when I was in high school and nothing fit. I mean, I was in high school and I was like, it was tragic.
Wait, they've been around that long?
Yeah, I was, or maybe it was H&M.
Zara was new. I mean, listen. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm learning every day about fashion, new fashion brands. I just discovered a new one. Oh, you know what? That brings me to my next question. So
Yeah.
right now, pandemic aside, if you were out and about normally, what is your new favorite clothing obsession? Like, what did you just discover, or that you're just in love with, like fashion wise?
Jacket.
Huh?
Jackets.
Really, jackets?
Jackets. It's a shirt jacket.
What the hell is that? You just made that up.
No, it's a jacket. I have it. It's right here. It's a jacket. It's a shirt jacket. It's a shirt jacket.
Okay.
Yeah, so I found out about it. I'm doing a long-term sponsorship with Stitch Fix, and they sent me a box with a jacket in it, and it was like a shirt jacket. I was like, a jacket, shirt jacket. I was like, okay. So I put it on, and basically what it is, it works as a shirt and a jacket. So basically, you could just wear like a thin t-shirt underneath, maybe if you want, and it kind of works as like a jacket, but it's warm enough. I mean, it kind of works as a shirt style-wise and look-wise, but on the inside, it's warm enough
To
to
be a
keep you
jacket.
warm with a jacket. It's called a shacket.
Stitch Fix. I might have to head on over there right quick and see what they talking about, because
It's a shacket. So I think those are, and I actually have two of them. So I actually like, that's like my new, that's like my new trend, my new obsession, I would have to say, is a shacket. Because especially here, like in the South, where like it can get cold and then you know it can get warm, you know. So like in the morning it's cold, but then in the afternoon it may get a little warm, and then it may get cold again, right? A shacket is like the perfect piece of like clothing item, because it works as a shirt, but it's warm enough for a jacket. But then again, if it gets warm, you don't have to really take it off because you won't get as hot as if you were wearing a jacket.
Or an actual jacket. I'm gonna check that out. I've never heard of that. Never heard of that, but now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go look for it because I like that idea actually. So my new favorite obsession is crossbody bags.
Ooh, I do like crossbody bags. Those things come in handy, especially for you because you probably carry your camera and stuff in there, right?
No, I don't carry my camera in my crossbody bag. What I started carrying a crossbody bag because we are in COVID, and one thing I was always forgetting my mask, and I was always forgetting my hand sanitizer. So I got into the crossbody bag so I could always have it in there. But then what I discovered was like, I can carry all the things I need because you know, you ever see those guys walking down the street and all four of their pockets are packed?
Yes.
So that used to be me.
You like that? Maybe, yeah. I used to have a wallet here, phone here, keys here.
Phone, keys, not hand sanitizer, lip balm, gum.
Oh man.
That used to be me. My pockets used to be filled with papers, receipts. Back in the day, I used to have my condoms in the other pocket. Listen, I used to have them around. So now with a crossbody bag, listen,
it's easier.
It's like I now finally understood why women love purses so much. Never knew why, but I get it.
Yeah.
So crossbody bags are my new obsession. It took me a while. I think one of the things why I never got into it was because when you know, late 2019, when people, well, not late, the summer of 2019, when people started wearing those bags, I could never find bags that were big enough to go across my chest.
Okay, yeah.
So every time I would look at them, and I would, you know, try to stretch because you know it has like a thing you can like a book bag almost where you can like pull to make it longer or shorter. Sure. And I could never find ones that, you know, made it short enough. So for me, that's why I never got into it. But what happened was, how I got into it was a small designer out of well, he lives in Atlanta now, but he was in Miami. The guy that started Big Boys is Cute, Vonnie.
Okay.
He made crossbody bags for big guys. And that's how I got into it. Because I bought one and I was just like, this is everything. I don't know how to live without it. So that's my new favorite fashion obsession is crossbody bags.
That's awesome. And I have to say one more thing to go back to like how to become a model and stuff. Like how, like I feel like I get that question a lot too, and I feel like
how do you manage?
So I feel like there's this big misconception in the like big and tall industry or like the plus size industry where the only requirement for you to be a model is that you have to be a certain size, like, or that like you just have to be big and tall. And I feel like that's the reason why like a lot of guys always just ask that because they just think, oh well, I'm big and tall, I can become a model too. Like it doesn't work in that way. And I want to tell people this all the time, and I do whenever I get asked the question. I'm like, you have to have more than just the fact that you're big and tall. Like it doesn't work that way. Like a brand or company isn't going to spend thousands, almost millions of dollars a year on advertisement and you just because you're a bigger person. Like you can be a bigger person, but you can also be an asshole.
Right.
You can also be racist. You can also be a homophobe. You know, and we saw that with, I mean, I don't know if you saw, but like, you know, Abercrombie used their first plus size male model. And this happened over the summer, I think. And he ended up saying some very racist and homophobic things. Remember? I mean, it wasn't homophobic because he's gay, but he said some very racist things.
Yes.
And they ended up, you know, not doing the campaign with them, or they took him out of the campaign, all this other stuff. So, you know, just because you're a bigger person, or even just because, you know, you are something different doesn't mean that that's your ticket into to the door. You have to be respectful of all bodies, all people, all walks of life. You cannot be an asshole. You cannot be homophobic. You cannot be racist. You cannot be all these things that brands are against, and then end up being the face of the brand just because you're big and tall. And I feel like a lot of guys get that messaging wrong. Like a lot of guys will email me or message me and their Instagram is private. I'm like, first of all, you need to make your Instagram public. That's number one.
Listen, in the video, step one, no one is going to request to be your friend just to sign you.
And nobody's going to find you. Like nobody's going to find you in these hashtags XL or whatever if your profile's private, because you're not going to show up in the public of the hashtag, or you're not going to show up on the explore page because you're not a public profile, you're a private profile. So the first thing I tell them is make your profile public, number one. Number two, make sure your profile is a representation of what you want to represent the brands, you know? And number three is to be consistent, because a lot of people will do it for like a month and be like, well, nobody's messaged me or nobody's reached out to me, I'm not doing it anymore. If you don't have a genuine passion about it, then it's not for you.
There you go.
If you're doing it just for the title or just for the money or just for the notoriety, you're doing it all wrong.
Oh, let's clarify the money part. I'm not sure how long it took you for your journey, but I just started making money last year. So
listen, I started my blog in late 2012. I didn't even get paid for anything on my blog or Instagram till about 2017. So that's like 5 years.
Almost 5 years all. Yes. Of just doing
5 years of doing everything for free. Yes. Like people get this misconception of, oh, you're just gonna make money and da da da. Like, do you know how long it took me to be able to stop teaching to do this shit full time? 6 years. It took me 6 years.
I just wanted the people to know you are not going to make money tomorrow from being an influencer or a blogger. My God, listen, I just started depositing checks last year.
Yeah. And that's the way it works. And people have this, and I like really blame the like influencers that don't really tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like
they're not about the journey.
Authentic, yeah. Like they don't tell the truth about the journey. They don't tell the truth about the thing, and they just be like, "Oh, da da da." Like I make this amount of money. You can do it too. But like, no, they cannot, because you're not giving them the right information. You know, and you're giving them false hopes. Just like whenever pre-COVID, whenever I used to go talk to high schools and all this stuff, a lot of high school students, like that's their dream job, right? Like all of them want to be athletes, YouTubers, Instagram stars, social media stars. That's all they want to be. They like visualize those things to the equivalent of being like what a celebrity or what an athlete is. Like they literally think like it's that easy. They're like all you have to do is just shoot a ball and you become LeBron James. That's it. No, that's not the way it works.
Right. Do people not know that LeBron James spends almost $3 million a year just to keep his body in shape?
Exactly.
Literally do not become LeBron James from shooting a basketball. And he's been practicing since like 2 or 3. Like
exactly.
You become good at your craft because you do the work.
Yeah. And then we also live in the thing where I tell all the high school kids and middle school kids that I speak to, I used to tell them that they live in this thing called the microwave era, where they want instant results and instant gratification. They want to do something for like 30, 40 seconds. They want to do something for a short period of time and get instant gratification. They want to create a blog for like a month and they want instant gratification. They want instant money. They want instant deals. They want instant collaborations. They want instant this and that. They don't want to actually work for what they are supposed to have. And I tell them that they have to get out of this microwave syndrome in their head and that things don't come instantly. I'm like, if you can't wait like 15 minutes for your food to get ready at like at like a fast food place, if you can't be patient enough to wait for something that simple, then how are you going to be patient enough to wait 5 or 6 years for your dreams to to
Fruition.
prosper or to come true? You can't do it. You can't do it. You know?
Listen, I'm glad that the superstars are telling you what the deal is, because listen, I've been my mentor is Marie Dene. And
She's amazing. Yeah.
one of the things we talk about all the time is like, you know, figuring out how to do your job well enough that getting paid is the byproduct is what she's been instilling in me over the course of the last 3 to 4 years.
For
And
sure.
because I too sometimes I'll go to Marie and be like, I'm not making any money, and then Marie will be like, so are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Did you do this? I saw this post. You didn't promote it enough. So poking like all of the holes in the reason why I'm not making money, but like a year in, I'm supposed to be making $100,000 a year. I'm like, that's not how that works
Yeah. Exactly.
at all. So I'm glad that you said it, because the people need to know.
Yes.
So going back to fatherhood, so I had one final fatherhood question.
Okay,
So
sure.
on my timeline, I don't know if you noticed it on your timeline, but a lot of people got pregnant during COVID.
Yeah, yeah. Strong.
So we're gonna have
Hey, purpose, accident, but it is what it is, you know?
a lot of people are about
Yeah,
to be new mothers and fathers. So I would like to know,
exactly.
being that you're a father of an almost 10-year-old and an almost 6-year-old, what are some tips for new fathers that they can take away from this, uh, about how to be really good, attentive, fathers to their children?
Yeah.
What tips?
Help out. Help out. Like you gotta like change that. Like there's a lot of people that I've, known as dads or that haven't really changed diapers, haven't really like done like helped out and stuff. Like you have to help out, Like there's a lot of things that obviously you can't do. Like you can't breastfeed, you can't do things of
See,
dads
see,
you can
see,
change
see.
diaper.
No, I've been seeing some creative dads. Okay, let me tell you.
Okay,
So
okay, word. Yeah, tell me.
I'm following one of my friends. Um, Sometimes his wife has to go to work at night and that's when the baby wants to be fed. So
Exactly.
he bought this like chest thing to go all over your chest, that it takes the bottle. It's the bottle's on the inside of it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it makes the bottle look like a nipple, and then that
So
baby.
he breastfeeds, which is
Yes.
like the thing. That's dope. That's
So
smart.
the point is, if you want to do these things, they're available for you.
Yeah, there are ways to do it, but like there's a lot of guys that have this, and I really like the fact that now that like more than ever, the modern father is like really involved and really
Yes.
more and
Yes.
like attentive rather than like in the past, like the 70s and shit, where like people were like, nah, I ain't, no, like they were like, the mom raises the kids, I work all day, da da da. It was like that stupid toxic masculinity thing. So I'm really glad that like those roles have like changed
Yep.
and how like, a lot of men are can be just as nurturing as mothers can be just as loving and attentive and, all those things that like a child would need. Um, but especially like during COVID, I mean, I feel like it could be very stressful depending on like what your job situation is. Like if you got laid off, if you don't know where your next check is coming from, and this and that, you're trying to find work, and maybe you're just frustrated about life. It could be hard for a lot of new fathers right now and new mothers, given this unfortunate circumstance that a lot of people are facing the in the United States. But it's just really important for both parents to be on the same page, whether they're together or not. You have to be on the same page and you have to, parent equally. You have to want the same things for your child. You have to, want them both to be great. Because if one person has another definition of what greatness is, and you have a different, like, you all have to have the like
Same
the
definition,
same vision of what greatness is for your kid.
right?
You know what I mean? So
I feel like
as
that's
long
big.
as long as you have that and you have love, and I think everything will be all right. I think that's the biggest thing, because whenever I had temperance, Michelle and I were both seniors in high school. We were seniors in college. So although we weren't high school students, we were still
Student,
college students. We still had some like bit of immaturity. We still had some bit of like not knowing what the real world, real life was like. Like, we didn't graduate from college yet. We didn't have any money. It was a very challenging time for both of us. She worked like 3 jobs. I worked like 2 jobs. So all together, we had like 5 jobs. You know,
how do you manage
and we were
it?
still barely being able to pay our like $500 for the 500 square foot cottage that we lived, which, mind you, 500 square feet is not a lot. Okay,
No,
so a lot of people, like, it literally was a kitchen, a living room, like a bed, like bedroom area, and like a bathroom. It was all like one. It was literally like a little
I was
cottage.
about to say you had a usually when you're in I lived in a studio apartment once. It wasn't that long, but I lived in a studio
Yeah,
apartment, and there's usually no separation. The only separation is usually the bathroom, but everything else is like
yeah, it
ta-da.
was. Yeah. So basically, that's what we lived in, and we lived there for a good almost 3 years. Like, and then we worked, and we saved up enough money, and we worked. We worked, and then we finally got our first house. I mean, we got this house in 2013, I think, 2013, when our daughter was almost 3. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's not really about the money as people make it seem, because you can make it work with a low amount of money. I mean, you just have to be happy with what you have. Because I was very poor. You know what I mean? Like, there was a time where we only had asparagus for dinner. Like, we had nothing else but just asparagus and some rice. We just ate asparagus and rice. Like, that was it. Like, we couldn't even afford to get a piece of chicken from Publix. Like, it wasn't even an option. It wasn't even like,
Right, it wasn't in the budget.
no, it wasn't. No.
Listen, you better eat this rice and asparagus
It's seriously, like, yeah, strong.
with this butter.
Yeah. Dog, the things you would do to season that stuff to make it look like, you put salt, pepper, like, you would just put season on. You'd be like, I'm just gonna make it taste like something, you
Right?
know? Just make it like it tastes
Like a little something, but we gonna
like,
work
yeah,
out was. I mean, see, I think your story is very good to be told in that way because it's like people see you now and they see you. They see you being the best smile of Instagram. They see you being this guy who's like on all these campaigns and in their minds making all of this money, but have no idea that you were once the broke college seniors living in a 500 square foot apartment with a little baby trying to figure out what to eat, what you only have rice and asparagus to eat. So it's like people need to understand like the journey is not like it's like you don't come from nothing to 100 overnight. It's all a gradual progression, and so I've been watching that journey for a while, and I'm pleased that where you are and where you're going and what you're doing for us, and I just can't wait. So as we're heading to the end of COVID, hopefully we're heading to
yeah,
the end. What's the first thing you and the family are going to do once it's officially like, well, I think once it becomes a downgrade is when it gets to the good part,
yeah,
when it comes from a pandemic to an epidemic, right?
yeah,
Okay, so once it gets downgraded and it's safe to travel or safe to move about the cabin normally,
yeah.
what's the first thing you got to do?
Man, we traveling. We're going somewhere. my youngest daughter really wants to go to California, so we might just go to California, man. Like we
Okay.
might try to go to Palm Springs or San Francisco or San Diego somewhere just so they can experience it and just to have that moment of like we can go somewhere, like and yeah, the first thing I want to do is just travel, man. Go really anywhere. Like I just want to go on a plane. I just want to go on a plane anywhere. I mean, even if it's just to Atlanta, just take me to a plane to Atlanta. Like I don't know, just anything. You
Somewhere.
know, I just want to be able to look at a boarding pass on my phone and be like, okay, yeah, it's time to check in. I just like want to be able to have that feeling
Oh,
again.
hey, time to pack my bag.
Exactly. I just want that feeling again. Like that whole excitement of like going somewhere and like trying a new restaurant or trying some new food or just getting out of the element. So that's the first thing I think where that we want to do as a family is to do our own family trip, like our own family getaway.
Okay. Well, that should be exciting. Well, all right. So, as we're wrapping up the interview, I want to leave people with some positive news. So, plug whatever you're doing. Do you have any of your own projects coming up or projects you've
Yeah.
done that you want to promote? I saw something, but I want you to say it before I say it. But I saw something on Instagram
Yeah.
a few days ago. But yeah, so plug to the people. What's happening? What does Kelvin got in the pipeline?
So hopefully book number two is in the works. I'm meeting with my publisher next week to discuss potential book title options and of that sort for book number two. And this book is going to be mostly about what it's like to be a Black millennial male in America and how, we are living through a different time and a different form of racism than our past
Previous generations.
previous generation did. Like, like they got sprayed with water hoses and got called the N-word to their face, but we're dealing with a different form of racism where people aren't as bluntly racist to our face, but they say the slick shit like all lives matter, right? Don't
Mhm.
all lives matter, Kelvin? Don't they?
Right,
Um,
right,
like,
right.
yeah. So like the slick shit and how, as a Black male millennial, how we have to navigate through how like how, how we visualize the new normal of racism because it's not the same as what it used to be.
It's
You know
colder.
what I'm saying? It's very like sneaky. It's very discreet. You got to look for certain shit. Like you got to be very cognizant of like what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with and how shit can go left real quick if you don't know what you're doing. So hopefully, book number two will be in the works soon. I'm going to try to write it in about 6 months. My first book took about 9 months to like 10 months, really. It almost took a whole year. So this time I'm going to try to do it in about half the amount of time. So I can get it out and get it ready to go. Um,
Okay, come on, book
yeah,
number two. Come
yeah.
on, author.
And author, you know what I'm saying? Author number, book number two, man. Like that would just mean so much to me that not only my like publisher believe so much in me to like write, but they believe so much in my first book that like they want a second book. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one thing be to be able to write a first book and you're proud of it and you gave it your all and you kind of think like, is this like a one-hit wonder? Like, is this the only thing that it's kind of almost like being a music artist and having that second album. It's like
Right.
it's your second album. Like you're really a music artist. Like you're no longer that one hit wonder, like or that one hit artist. You're gonna produce another album. People believe in you. So that's kind of how I feel about it. So I'm very excited about it. And I'm going to have some partnerships coming up that I can't really disclose, but some pretty exciting
Fair enough.
partnerships coming up. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much it. I think.
Listen,
What you see on
that's a lot.
Facebook?
That's what I call it, the book.
Okay. Well, okay. So
Yeah,
word.
yeah, I
So
saw the book. So I
yeah,
mean, that's a lot, sir. Writing a book in itself is you can stop right there, by the way. Like a list of things that I wanna like if someone had a goal this year and like writing a book is on the goal, you can just stop right there. Cause like I haven't started writing my book, but I've been starting to like put together what I want it to look like.
yeah.
And so far I have 13 chapters that I want to write. So like
Ooh.
right. So in my mind, like for me, that's like a goal in itself. Like there doesn't need to be any other goals because that is a lot in itself. So not only are you writing a book, but you're going to continue to be an influencer, like spread joy to the people. So listen,
Yeah.
that is a
And
lot.
I'm really hoping this book will just really help a lot of people of color and non-color to understand what the new version of racism, because like there's like a lot of people of non-color that don't realize some of the shit that they say is racist. You're like, how the fuck don't you understand that that's racist? Like, it's racist for you to say that. Like, for you to say, well, you speak so well. Okay. Like, so
Right?
you're basically saying I speak so well because I'm black.
Right.
Why won't you just say it? Like, why won't you just say I've never heard a black person speak as eloquently as you do? So it kind of shocked me. Just just be honest. Just say how you feel. Just say, I'm shocked at how well you speak because I've never heard black people speak so well. That's it. Like you don't have to say, oh my gosh, you speak so well.
Right.
Girl, bye. Girl, bye. Shit.
Ah. So yeah, so like those things are really going to hopefully be helpful. Speaking of, so to give you a little bit of like, since that's the kind of book you're writing, I'm gonna give you a
Yeah.
little show that will help you out with that
Okay.
writing process. So Oprah does these Oprah conversations, but it's only on Apple.
Okay.
So her first season guest was a ex NFL player
Uh-huh.
that wrote a book. Trying to remember the title, but if you go
Okay.
look up the Oprah show, the entire first, it's like a two-part episode that they talk about covert racism. And so what they did was they brought on, so he is a black guy, and they
Yeah.
brought on five guests, and the five guests are white. And so
Yeah.
they created a space for them to ask their questions and basically get confirmation whether that's racist or not. So I think it would be great
Gotcha.
for you to see that
That's awesome.
and how Oprah navigates that conversation.
Yeah. Because it's a conversation that needs to be had, you know?
Yep,
Especially in this day and age, man. I mean, we're not going to get into all the shit because you know what's going on, but yeah,
I
it's
see.
yeah.
I see. And I'm showing and proving by showing you what we can do
Yeah.
that we are more than whatever you think we are and beyond.
Exactly.
Um, so I definitely appreciate you for coming on my podcast, Kelvin. It's been a
Thank
long
you for having me.
mental process to work up the nerve to ask you to be on the show. So I appreciate your yes in this journey.
Of course.
So tell the people where they can follow you if they aren't already following you, which I find it really hard to believe if they're not already following you.
Yeah.
If they're following me, they probably should already be following you. But tell
Yeah.
them where they can follow you.
So Instagram is Kelvin Davis, all one word, KelvinDavis. On Facebook, it's Notoriously Dapper, but my personal Facebook profile is public to everybody, and this is Kelvin Conrad Davis II, and you can
Come
find that there
on a
too.
second.
Yeah, the second. I don't do too much TikTok. I try to get into it, but if you want to follow me there, I post like some like kind of funny personal things, and that's at Notoriously Dapper, and Twitter is Notoriously Dap, and that's all it. Oh, and my blog is notoriouslydapper.com. There it is, strong.
Trademark strong too. So
Yeah.
um thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode. And thank you all. And until next time, peace out.